All right, hello, my name is Jesus Rojas, as Meli mentioned. So really today I'm going to be talking about micronutrients, more specifically about with vitamins, compared to Shay's talk with how she did hers with minerals, and some parasite controls with her sheep here in the States in Hawaii. So I'm really going to begin with just like leading you guys on with like a table of contents of what's going to really go on with my talk today. So I'm going to begin with the introduction, the issue with parasites, some of the impacts it has on the state of Hawaii, and then some nutritional management control and control methods that can be able to be applied for parasite control, along with like the importance that small ruminants are to producers here in the state, and some research findings of my own, and some limitations, and then really just wrapping it up with the conclusion. So I want to begin with really saying what are anthelmintics or dewormers. Not many people know what anthelmintics are or dewormers really are. So it's just really a substance that destroys or expels that gastrointestinal worm within the host of the animal. They were originally developed to eliminate the parasitic relationship in which like the parasites highly depend on the host for energy and metabolic needs. In addition, they were also established to like really render the parasites in the form of like paralysis and or even deprive them of their feeding, so they won't be able to take any of the host nutrition like nutrients as they're going through like any maintenance process. Along with that, really anthelmintics are administered really in one way. They're administered orally. And as of up to date, there are top three anthelmintics or three types of drug classes that are available for small ruminant producers. This includes the first grouping, the benzimetazoles containing like the valbazen, the macrocyclic lactones, which contain the ivermectin treatment drug. And then this one's a really hard name to pronounce, but the last drug group is the imidazothiazoles. So they all have different modes of action, really, and I'll be explaining that in the next slide. So the mode of action, really, and I'll be beginning with the benzimetazoles, is that they're the first parasite drug really brand that was created to be able to treat parasites and not only in the state of Hawaii, but anywhere around the region of the world where parasites are really abundant. And so the way this mode of action works for this specific drug is that it consists of binding the parasite's B tubulin. So the way that really works is when it inhibits like the tubulin polymerization, so like really the structure support of that parasite itself, so leading to a cell destruction within the host. And that way it can be expelled as the application is applied, therefore like being expelled through feces. So really benzimetazoles progressively deplete like energy reserves of the host, and then therefore like it like of the parasite itself, and inhibits excretion of like other waste products that the parasite can be able to like damage the host. And so benzimetazoles really are like a protective factors that therefore to really protect against this parasite. Then we got the other group classes of drugs, which include the macrocyclic lactones and the imidazothiazoles. These two drugs really kind of work similarly. However, so with macrocyclic lactones, it specifically targets that parasite's nervous system. So it really like binds those like gated chloride channels, which receptors in like that worm itself, therefore like completely like rendering like in the form of paralysis. In addition, it also like stimulates like sustained muscle contractions. That's how they get their paralysis, and followed by like neuromuscular depolarization. So therefore, that's how it really all works. Oh, shoot. Imidazothiazoles work in the way, also causing like spastic paralysis. So these two drugs have some like similar modes of actions. So therefore, when really applying them, it's really beneficial. Really, you have to be like really considerate like of exactly how you're going to be able to use these drugs and not be able to use them repeatedly, because then it'll be cause anthelmintic resistance later on for your flock. So parasites encountered in the Hawaiian Islands, really. So parasites are found all over the world, and they really cause like clinical and subclinical parasitism that cause like significant amount of financial losses for a lot of these small ruminant producers. And so the type of parasites that we have here in the island consist of nematoids, trematoids, cestodes, and protozoa. And really, those parasites are life cycles favored by tropical and subtropical weather conditions, both in the free living stage and the host adaptation. So it's really they have two different like types of stages of development. They can be able to grow just freely in the pastures, or also reproduce within the host, being able to just accumulate in the numbers and be able to spread those parasites along the pasture and other animals in the field. These annoying parasites really do cause like a major economic loss and health impacts in addition with that. Some of those health impacts that are caused are anemia, diarrhea, poor growth, low weight gain, decreased reproductive effectiveness. So really, if over time not treated appropriately, leads to that of parasite burden. And parasite burden really is like the severity or is the measure of the numbers and virulence of the parasites harbored by a host organism. So you see that severity or harmfulness of that disease or that parasite, depending on the type of parasite that animal is really encountering at the time. So the problem with this is anthelmintics is a great treatment plan. However, with the heavy reliance on pharmaceuticals of anthelmintics, it represents one of the largest like expenditure on animal health in many countries to really control health and helminthiasis. And literature or research done in 2021 and the European countries, they noticed that the annual cost of estimate, and this was like also translated to US dollars, that treatment costs and production costs were significantly the highest economic losses seen in their time during anthelmintic resistance due to these anthelmintic treatments. And with the widespread really issue of the anthelmintic resistance or like over applying these treatments as a result really because of their high efficiency or ease of use and most often overuse or underdosing and not giving them the required amount, AR anthelmintic resistance was developed, and anthelmintic resistance really is that heritable loss of sensitivity to like an anthelmintic in the parasite population. Therefore, that was previously susceptible to that same anthelmintic. So I really want to like include that it is considered that like anthelmintic resistance is present when a higher proportion of the parasites individuals within a population are able to lose that sensitivity. So there's not much of that optimal performance. So once you start seeing this optimal performance decrease, then you start really realizing that the percent of resistant worms in the population is really therefore increasing with that same treatment if given over time or even underdosing. And really the biggest issue with this is that with the severity and the range of the trend this is going with anthelmintic resistance, and not only just in Hawaii but worldwide, it's moving towards like an excess of medication that is posing a threat to public health. More people are wanting to see less chemical usage on their animals, therefore like just free chemical meat and like dairy products really. However, the problem with anthelmintic resistance is, of course, it has factors, so therefore, like it develops in some sort of way, and really these factors include like upregulation of cellular efflux, increase in drug metabolism of the parasite itself, change in drug receptor, reduced drug binding, and also decrease in drug receptor and abundance through their expression. So with all this, it really leads to like that decrease in the duration of the intensity of the drug action really working against these parasitic worms. And therefore, with trying to understand all these factors or the mechanisms of a resistance can like better help researchers predict how quickly resistance will emerge, as well as provide a tool for studying parasite biology. And that leaves me with the economic impact. So back in 2017, the sheep industry really contributed to $5.8 billion to the US economy. So like really, why are we looking at this? We're really looking at this because given the industry's monetary importance, it really is a vital part to ensure sustainability, of course. And it's also important to look at for the state of Hawaii because parasite disease targets both of these mentioned, and its importance is really closely related to that of like food security and management practice. And I want to include that with small ruminants, they also make like a significant impact due to their adaptability to various production systems while raised in fewer inputs, of course. And in addition to that, with parasite infection in ruminants, it is estimated to also cost producers more than $3 billion per year, and 60% of that is really attributed within the sheep industry. So a literature that I read and really wanted to talk about in this presentation, kind of is show how it economically impacts the sheep industry, is within the Australian grazing industry. They're one of the biggest grazing industries when it really comes to sheep production. And I read that 222 million US dollars per annum is lost due to parasites infections. So this is really an immense problem in areas with abundant rainfall. And as mentioned, it's like not only a problem in one region, but in other regions of the world with like heavy rainfall and where parasites are really dominant. And so I kind of provided a pie chart here, right, like right in this slide with like kind of the cost split, and you see that just between chemical and labor and wool loss, you see that like above 70% of loss, and chemical labor and wool compared to the $19 million in meat lost, and then also $41 million in mortality within in the Australian grazing industry when they went during this process of the parasite infection. Nutrition is an important thing to really apply to animals as they're really going through maintenance and like reproduction stages or any like type of stage of development throughout their years. So the nutritional impact that parasites have is that they absorb the nutrients from the host, like making them not be able to gain that body condition score properly, even though if trying to eat the adequate amount of pasture forage for these grazing animals. So I do want to add that cattle and sheep do share a similar digestive system. However, there's just that sheep are, of course, a smaller scale compared to that of our cattle. And literature also shows that with cattle alone, like having low worm burden is shown to depress feed intake. So this literature really explained that like with a low, just for example, lower worm burden shows that with that feed intake loss was of 3.2%. And while having a higher worm burden will affect that animal as of up to 7.8% just in cattle itself. Now we're talking in sheep percentages. In sheep percentages, since they are a smaller framed animal, even within a low to high range, sheep feed intake is decreased by 15 to 20% of the depression of feed intake that the animal is actually intaking. Therefore, the body condition score is going to drastically change from a healthy 4 animal to even to like a 2 or a 1. Additional problems that it impacts with nutrition with parasites itself is through the gastrointestinal tract. So it really has a detrimental effect on its function, and therefore it raises the pH in the abomasum, leading to problems in the abomasum, and therefore also into the gastrointestinal part. So really less feed intake or nutrients such as protein, vitamins, and minerals, which really play a vital role in animal growth, reproduction, and immune function, are really decreased with parasite burden, and then along with the body condition score that decreases along with it. Some other conditional impacts that parasites have is that of in vivo condition, which causes oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is an active field really that is more and more important in the field of research in veterinary medicine and has been implicated in numerous disease processes, including that of parasitic diseases. With oxidative stress, it really it's not caused by the parasite itself, but literature has mentioned that the presence of the parasite itself can also induce the production of reactive oxygen species. So therefore, because the body already has reactive oxygen species, but just only a small amounts of numbers. So reactive oxygen species can really essentially damage the parasites, but in the process, it also causes that of oxidative stress to the animals. And with oxidative stress, it can therefore lead to cell death and impairing the animal's immunity and health. However, with a good balance of like production of oxidant agents and antioxidants is really essential. Therefore, it really pushes researching more methods to battle parasite burdens in animals, and methods such as nutritional and other management practices can be put in place. Therefore, it really leads me to my next topic, so like the nutritional management methods. So for years, protein nutrition has shown to affect for sheep's resilience to gastrointestinal parasites. but it is of importance of what really the animal is eating, how much animal is eating, and the additional supplement it's receiving, either being vitamins and minerals from like like salt blocks or like loose minerals, or even exogenous supplementation. So really, I want to like introduce vitamins into this talk as well, because like using vitamins can also be that alternative to combat parasite burden other than just protein nutrition. And that's because vitamins and minerals status of animals are really poorly understood, and are often overlooked due to the small amount fed to the animal. So there's really scarce research on that, and so being able to apply vitamin usage on this to be able to control parasite burden can be of great use other than just traditional protein nutrition. However, there are also like, other than further pushing vitamins to combat parasite burden, there are also beneficial because they have antioxidant properties and also enzyme carrying properties. And vitamins also essentially help with like benefits such as growth, immunity, and antioxidant properties. So I'm gonna be really briefly talking about how we introduced for my project to be able to combat parasite control with a local producer here. So as of up to date, we're in a project that's undergoing works of with like the help of the NSIC fund, and the local producer here in Hawaii that has really pioneered towards like further research to be able to help producers understand how a source of other than protein can alleviate the parasite burden that small ruminant farmers face. Therefore, we're focusing on micronutrients, specifically vitamins of that of vitamin E and vitamin C, because these vitamins both target oxidative stress, have that antioxidant capability. They're both water and fat-soluble vitamins. And with the limited amount of or scarce research that is available, then they can be able to further push micronutrients to be able to be another alternative source. Really, we're focusing on vitamin E and vitamin C because vitamin E, also commonly known as alpha tocopherol, plays an essential role as an antioxidant, as previously mentioned, and helps with the membrane stabilization and modulates that immune responses against diseases of any kind. And then vitamin C, while ruminants have the like possess the ability to synthesize vitamin C in the liver, we noticed that during decreased plasma concentrations during stressful events, and in this case during parasite burden, we see that vitamin C levels given supplemented can be able to aid in the process of regenerating the vitamin E back to like a scavenger, like a free radical scavenger. And vitamin C also has been shown in literature to be like work really synergistically together with that of vitamin E. In addition to just nutritional management, also grazing management is of importance. So pasture health and like optimal animal nutrition is greatly important, because as animals get more readily available nutrients from like fresh pastures here, because in the island of Hawaii, you see more grazing operations. They get more nutrients than that of grains, because of these forages contain more vitamin E, beta carotene, like conjugated linoleic acid, and of course also omega-3 fatty acids. And in addition to that, also another good recommendation is periodically shredding a paddock immediately after moving animals. Therefore, it really also decreases those infective stages of the parasite itself, so the L3 forms. This can be a little bit hard due to the like really like the amount of land available that we can like meet to each producer's demand, of course. But a plan like a strategic plan can like aid in lowering the worm burden. And like additional things can be like eliminate like high stock rate to be able to minimize those L3 forms that are seen in pasture. Not letting animals graze in an area for a long time, avoiding reintroduction of infected animals into a clean pasture. And then really in addition to like the shredding, it can also kill the parasites larvae through heat and UV. And it also removes old vegetation and weeds, and therefore increases the forage quality. So why is it really important in Hawaii? So it's really important for small ruminant producers in Hawaii, because these small ruminant producers have been a part of Hawaii's landscape for more than over 200 years, really, with goats being introduced to, I hope I don't butcher the name, but Ni'ahui, in 1778, and then following along with that is sheep being introduced in the island of Hawaii in 1793. So there's also a strong market for cabrito and lamb in the state across all islands. But really, in addition for the strong market in the islands, these small ruminant producers help meet these small ruminants help meet producers' land management objectives, such as fire fuel reduction, weed management, and brush control. And of course, the other important thing that these small ruminants, of course, are like really facing is that of like gastrointestinal inventory control, so the parasite control, and because that's their primary cost for animal health here within the islands. And then also like having like a general guidance and considerations for developing the control is really essential. Other than just this importance there's also state focus, which is really like intensifying the local production to address certain concerns. Those concerns can be like self-sufficiency and boost local food security here in the island. Because sheep not only hold like promise for the livestock industry, but the agriculture industry as a whole for the state of Hawaii. And however, cattle is a great source of meat. Of meat products, we need to include how like she can be a little bit more feasible due to their smaller frame that can be like more can be put in a location. And this is due because of like the average acreage of Hawaii or the average acreage that Hawaii offers, and like that really being 151 acres. But the only downfall to be able to apply more sheep here due to their like smaller frame is slaughter facilities available. It really makes it harder for the sheep meat products to get across the state. And like, however, I do want to add, yes, more animals can be put in one location, but with the primary issues of being that of a parasite burden, and more strategic plans has to be inputted as well. So some interesting findings that I want to include into this talk with injectable vitamin E, since I mentioned it briefly earlier, has been that we've focused on two different stages of development animals, so that of young growing lambs and also mature ewes, and through different like stages of production, just production as of like just this talk itself. And for the production parameter of FAMACHA scoring, so which is looking at to see how anemic each animal is from a 1 through 5 point scale system, we saw that and this project was done in like 5 period collection trial. We saw that on the 4th collection day, which is day 56, we saw a tendency was observed, and the growing lambs in the FAMACHA groups containing that of vitamin E treatments. So we did see that it was like the treatment was wanted to work, but there was some possible limitation, which I will explain later on. We did see, however, on the same day for FAMACHA score improvements, we're seeing in our mature ewes. So those numbers of like being anemic were significantly lower compared to that of our mature ewes. And both of these observations were seen in the treatment groups containing both of those vitamin E treatments. In addition to that, we also focused on the production parameter of fecal A count. So 14 days post-treatment, so the second period collection day, we saw that fecal A count decreased. So there was a significant difference in young growing lambs containing that of both vitamin C and E treatment groups, working similarly as that of a dewormer group. And so we saw that it's like decreased these parasitic eggs that were being expelled within the host during the like a fecal egg count procedure, of course, done through a modified McMaster technique. Some possible limitations that we did come across with this or possible encounters could be that of the current sample size. So that tendency could be a little bit different. If we were to be able to use more animals and to be able to really justify the tendency some of those statistical models. And of course, the control groups, like not the group that didn't receive any treatment or as of dewormers or even vitamins, could have reinfected the whole flock and through some period of the trial. To really summarize all this is it really focused on like the concerns to meet the consumer demand for chemical-free meat and dairy products, have a more sustainable parasite control compared to that of anthelmintic usage to be able to decrease anthelmintic resistance, and then also combat production loss within these small ruminants. And then there's anthelmintics can be alternatively be moved over a little bit more of a application of nutrition was applied. And I do want to just really point this out is that all this data of our own current project is just preliminary data, but it does suggest that vitamin E containing treatment groups may assist in controlling gastrointestinal parasites in hair sheep here in the island. And with that, thank you for listening. Is there any questions?